У нас наш следующий участник на связи. Это Борис Анатольевич Наймушин, кандидат филологических наук, доцент теории, практики, перевода, заведующий кафедрой английской филологии в Новом болгарском университете, что в Софии. Здравствуйте, Борис.
Добрый день, вы меня слышите?
Да, мы вас прекрасно слышим, мы вас, более того, чудесно видим. Рады приветствовать, наконец-то. У вас очень интересная тема доклада. Доклад Борис Анатольевич будет представлять нам на английском языке, потому что он же не зря заведующий кафедрой английской филологии.
Okay, shall I start?
Yes, of course, you can start, and yes, you have 15 minutes, and if we have questions, we will ask after.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a few words about myself. As my colleague Christian Banka, who spoke before the break, I'm from New Bulgarian University, which is a private university in Bulgaria. I've worked there for over 20 years, and I teach English and interpreting, mainly because I'm an active conference interpreter. And my job is to interpret at meetings, conferences, seminars, and so on and so on. That's why I chose this topic, remote interpreting, which is a very, very interesting new area of interpreting. With the development of modern technologies, it became quite easy to interpret without being close to the person that you're interpreting for. And if you check Google, you will see that translation is among the first 5 professions that are usually recommended for digital nomads. Because translation is clear. You can be anywhere in the world, you do the translation and you send it off back to your client. And the only problem is to find the right client, the client that will not only give you the assignment, but that will pay you for it later on. Because it's easy to do the translation and send it off to the client, but receiving the money is quite a challenge. So my advice to digital nomads choosing translation as part of their digital nomadic work is to try and find the right clients. Another aspect of translation is interpreting. Interpreting when you work orally with your clients. And we all know that now we can do this without being close to the client. And this also poses a lot of problems before the interpreters. Before the mid-50s of the last century, there was mostly consecutive interpreting, when interpreters stood next to the speaker, even in big conferences, listened to them, took notes, and interpreted. Then simultaneous interpretation appeared with advancement of technology. And all interpreters were very worried about this. They thought, how can we interpret being in a booth without direct contact with our clients, with the speakers, with the audience? But later on, it worked out, and now we cannot imagine a big conference, multilingual conference, without simultaneous interpretation. Today, we're facing another challenge. The development of modern technologies, VoIP technologies, allow us to interpret using Skype, smartphones, and so on and so on. First of all, we can have interpretation using stationary, regular telephones. And once I had to interpret like this. Maybe you remember in 2009 there was a big gas crisis between Russia and Ukraine, which directly affected Bulgaria, where I've been living for for over 35 years now. And at that time, I started my work as interpreter for the president of Bulgaria. And my first assignment was to interpret during his conversations with the presidents of Russia, Ukraine, and Moldova to discuss the problem and how to solve it. And that was my first experience of interpreting without seeing anybody. I didn't see the president because he was in another room. I didn't see his interlocutors because they were far away. And the only thing you had was this telephone line, and all of a sudden you see, first you hear nothing, and then you hear President Medvedev speaking. And I felt, oh, relaxed. Oh, that was great. I thought I would never reach the president, and now I can hear him. And these interpreting is very difficult, because the only signs that you get are intonations, pitches. You do not see the person, and you have to be very attentive as to understand when this person has finished speaking, and you can interpret. Because if you start interpreting before he has finished, you have a problem. If you wait too long, he may think that there's some problem, he may continue talking. So it is very, very difficult with two people talking to each other, usually me, and we don't see each other. So that was interesting. Now, talking about simultaneous interpreting. The first attempts to use simultaneous interpreting that is remote were performed back in 1976, for instance, during a UNESCO conference when the interpreters were in Paris, and the conference itself was held in Nairobi, and it worked out. Then there was a UN conference in 1982 when the interpreters and the conference itself were in separate buildings. And then there were research into this problem, how interpreters feel when they are not in the same location. When they are somewhere, they see the conference on their screens, but they do not have direct contact with the audience. And these research showed that interpreters feel stress, higher levels of stress usually associated with regular conference interpreting, because they felt out of context. They felt out of this relationship with the people, with the technicians, they did not see the movement of the people, their body language, and so on and so on. They felt that if there's a problem, they cannot just get out of the booth and run and find somebody, an organizer or delegate, and work out this problem. What I'm saying is that compare just the way interpreters felt anxiety when they had to switch from consecutive into simultaneous. Now we are feeling this kind of worry whether it will be possible for us to switch painlessly from regular consecutive interpreting into remote interpreting that can be done consecutively or simultaneously. For instance, nowadays, a lot of companies in the West offer legal interpreting, court interpreting, and medical interpreting using remote technologies, because it's very difficult to find a good interpreter somewhere, for instance, in a remote area, and they use this. I once took a test a couple of months ago. There's a company that's called Three-Way Talk, and they're hiring interpreters now. And I took a test myself. It was on screen, 5 dialogues. And I felt the problems, because all of a sudden you hear a dialogue. It was Russian but English. In Russian, of a guy getting a haircut. Then the second dialogue, a guy going to a computer service, getting his computer served. And the third dialogue, and fourth, and so on and so on, 5 absolutely different dialogues in different contexts. And I can imagine that if you get this job, you walk down the street or having fun somewhere, and then the telephone calls and someone says, I need, here in a hospital or somewhere, I need your help. You're absolutely out of context. You don't know what they're talking about. You're not prepared. And I feel that this is a very, very demanding and challenging job. How much time do I have, by the way?
You could have all the time in the world, but right now, just 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Of course. You know, there's a joke about Stalin. Once one of the guys was supposed to make a report, and he said, how do you want me to make it? Long, a detailed one or a short one? And Stalin said, you make it the way you want, but you have 3 minutes. Okay, so that's the saying. Yes, I know. Basically, I've said what I wanted to say. So the problem is with interpreting, remote interpreting, using all the technologies, is that it poses very specific challenges to us interpreters. You have to be well prepared with interpreting techniques, with what you call general culture, but you also find yourself, and more so, in situations when you are not prepared, when you have no background information, and you face someone on your screen saying, I'm here doing some shopping, and this shopping is very difficult because he's in a remote country doing very specific shopping, buying things that you don't know the names even in your native language. So how are you going to deal with this? It's a serious problem, and I think it poses serious questions as to interpreter training. So basically that's my talk. I can talk, of course, a lot more, but I think that's more than enough. If you have questions, I'm ready to answer.
Does anybody have any questions about the president meeting? Why didn't they let you to be near them? Because on TV, in news, for example, I often see people, interpreters, standing right behind the presidents, so it's easier to.
It was a specific situation when you are in the president's office, and he wants to talk to different people on the same day, and it's only telephone. You call Kiev, you talk to you call Moscow, so it's telephone interpreting. Regular interpreting, I've done a lot. In Russia, in Europe, I've interpreted for my client, the president of Bulgaria, during his meetings with Mr. Putin, with Medvedev, with presidents of Serbia, Austria, and so on. But that was telephone. I used it as an example of remote interpreting.
We have one more question.
Can I ask in Russian, please? Boris,
По-французски, по-испански, по-итальянски.
Merci.
Борис, скажите, пожалуйста, как вы рассматриваете вообще перспективу для переводчиков, для людей-переводчиков, перспективы профессии переводчика в связи с тем, что появляются такие приложения цифровые, которые уже и голос переводят, и, собственно, текст переводят, и даже уже подстраивают там реальность с каким-то переводом на другой язык. Если уж мы говорим о цифровой культуре сегодня, о цифровых кочевниках, которые тоже, конечно же, в тренде сетевых технологий, как вы считаете, это утопично или это случится?
Вы знаете, мы все больше и больше чувствуем вот эту конкуренцию так называемых инструментов для письменного перевода в основном. И очень часто клиенты пытаются использовать именно их. Они считают, что можно в Google перевести, в Google Translate, чуть-чуть отредактировать, и все будет прекрасно. Иногда это работает. Для определенного вида текстов даже профессиональные переводчики не используют слишком специализированный софтвер, они используют Google Translate, и после этого просто немного редактируешь. То есть, в принципе, это возможно. Инструменты типа Trados и WordFast, они не являются переводчиками как таковыми, они просто на основе уже переведенных тобой текстов создают так называемый translation memory, из которой они потом черпают предложения для перевода. Это очень полезный инструмент для всех переводчиков, которые переводят большие крупные тексты подобного содержания, когда в памяти сохраняются очень подобные переводы. Что же касается вот таких переводов уже устной речи, технологии будут развиваться, это понятно, и конкуренция будет все более ожесточенной. Но тем не менее, мне кажется, что во многих контекстах подобные инструменты не заменят живого переводчика. Всегда будет необходимость, я думаю, в живом устном переводчике на многих уровнях. Ну, по крайней мере, в обозримом будущем. Не могу сказать, что будет через 20, через 30 лет, но я думаю, в ближайшие 5-10 лет работа у нас еще будет.
So we're not going to get to go bankrupt in the nearest future. Yes, I agree with you. Google Translator, you can always see that. You can always see it has been used. Thank you very much, Boris Anatольевич. The next speaker is from France, and she's going to speak English. So now we are switching again, and we are extremely happy to have you here today. Oi, I didn't have a chance to say goodbye. Okay, Boris Anatольевич, goodbye.
No, I'm here. I thought you just you were announcing the next speaker. I thought you said bye bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure, and I would like. I've been to Tomsk once, as you know, and I'm looking forward to visiting your wonderful city once again.
Thank you. Probably we will be able to invite you. Maybe we will find some occasion. Who knows? Yes, we will hope for the better. Thank you. Bye.